Excuse me, Mandy, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Richard?
Yes.
Kingler?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Luttrell?
Yes.
Audi?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Okay, motion carries. I apologize, I got ahead of myself. I skipped over ordinances, so the next item on the agenda will be ordinance 2171, levying assessments on Cherry Street. Any questions for staff? No questions, I entertain a motion to approve the ordinance 2171.
I so move.
A move by Councilman Peterson that we adopt ordinance 2171 of levying assessments on Cherry Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Gingler. Any further discussion? Mandy, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Luttrell?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Kingler?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Audi?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. We done that. We done all of those.
Oh, okay.
Consent agenda.
Oh, that was all in there, okay, I understand.
Okay, moving on to our formal actions. The first item on the agenda is the downtown CDBG time extension. They requested a 30-day extension. Any Glenn comments or?
Yeah, this is the ongoing project down there. If you remember where this is, just around the block there. Apparently they had some issues here as far as getting the last portion of this done. Doug McKinney administers this grant, is here tonight answering any questions about that. They'd like to get under the time limit, which I think is at the end of October.
Yeah, it's just 3 weeks away.
3 weeks away, but the contractor who's, what's it, the door?
Well, there's that door going to the upstairs off Main Street. That one is the simpler item, but the big plate glass windows out front, that's the tougher animal. And the contractor that has done the roofing still has the guttering in the alley to do. All buildings, the Full House and the NCK WebTech. And, well, there's still a few roofs they want to get done, because they can do the guttering when it's colder. They want to get the roof sealed up. So they've essentially been allowed to do the roof jobs that they've inherited from the hailstorm last year and putting the guttering off. And ideally, they'll get to the guttering in the next couple, 3 weeks. But
is there any inconvenience to the city?
I talked to the contractor, the guttering ain't even ordered yet.
they haven't ordered the guttering, the window hasn't.
I really think something like this should have been with the original bid when they asked for that.
The guttering was.
Well, the windows wasn't.
No, it wasn't. That's because budget wasn't certain yet on all the masonry work that was done, and they wanted to make sure, the owners wanted to make sure they had enough funds to do the windows towards the end. Masonry work didn't get done until late July.
Did they sub out the windows to different companies? We never did see anything on that.
No, we gave Glenn small purchase kind of information on that related to the front windows.
It never was mentioned as council.
Well, it was just in the last week, just a week and a half with that information.
Do you see a problem with this, Doug? I mean,
They just need more time.
Yeah.
Again, it's their money, it's their, you know. so
Yeah,
it's
just need more
we're
time.
not out in.
No,
No.
they never are. I mean,
No.
it's just that they need.
You can see how this has transpired into really nice structures. And 7 jobs have been created because the structures are intact. The roofs are not leaking anymore. A Full House has invested hundreds, well, I'd say hundreds, maybe 60 or 70,000 on the inside. They've done a lot on the inside. Gloria and her family.
What happens if we don't approve this?
Well, probably I think the guttering could still be done, but as Bob said, they probably haven't, maybe they haven't ordered. They were supposed to have ordered it
My understanding.
6 months ago, in reality, back in April.
Who was supposed to order that?
The contractor, yeah, because it was in the original contract for the roofers.
I think we need to extend this for them, because I mean, they've come a long way on this project and they've really helped the downtown area. It really looks nice. And
You think that's
Are we gonna have to do this in
Yeah,
another 30
Yeah,
days?
I can't, I don't know what
Are
else.
we gonna have to do this again in another 30 days?
I don't know. I hope not, because December's
Is
never
there-
a kind month to do things outside.
Yeah, you would be pushing
Is
the
there
weather.
end to it?
Yeah.
I mean, Grand Shirley has an end date that they have to be done with.
That's
using
where we're
the
at.
property.
We're at that.
Well, the red date was
Yeah.
July 31st, as I remember, was that.
That's the second time we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the second time.
Yeah, second time.
So this could go on forever. then.
No, well, no, this,
Well-
Commerce would only approve it the second time. They
They
wouldn't
need
approve
our-
it anymore.
They need our approval.
Yeah, city council has
That's
to take
why.
action prior to
Right.
Commerce taking any action.
I move that we extend that request to 30 days for that downtown CDBG project.
I like
Moved by
that.
Councilman Miller that approve the extension for the downtown CDBG time extension of the second.
I'll make a
Councilman
second.
Lottie. And,
May I have a question?
yeah,
I'd like to add to the motion that this be the last extension.
It is anyway.
It is. It's already in there. I mean-
I want it in the meeting.
well,
Yeah.
Commerce controls that, so it's already in there. And I already have a
Control our
motion.
vote too.
Bob, I have a motion on the floor.
I understand that.
So, is there any other discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Aye.
Aye.
Call a vote on that, Randy. I think it was a tie, I couldn't tell.
I think everybody voted twice.
Partially did. I
Richard,
vote no.
No.
Gingler,
No.
Peterson,
No.
Latrell,
No.
Audie,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Okay, motion failed. Okay. Whatever. Next item on the agenda is early retirement. Any questions, comments? Do we want to extend the early retirement to just this time through?
Yeah, the only thing I would add to this is that, you know, you have a couple of options here to do this. We did this, I think, 4 years ago. We did it for 1 year. It was mentioned last time, I think, by Rick Brown, that perhaps we should adopt this as a permanent type of policy. We can't do that. The other thing, after listening to some of our employees, is that when you retire, a lot of this depends on what quarter you retired in. So when you retire, this makes a big difference. I had it in, if you read in there, if you choose to retire by the end of this year, you have to announce, yeah, I want to do this. You sign that you want to do this. You have to retire by, I think, July or the end of June or something like that. That may not work exactly for everybody because, again, it's when you were hired in the quarter. So the only thing I would change is that you just have it at the end of 2016 rather than the middle of 2016 if you adopted it. Because then it gives people.
Well, then their anniversary date, you know, when they went to work for
Right.
it, they can retire on that.
Well, yes, and they need to retire in that quarter. I'm not a capers expert, but it needs to be close to when they were hired. I'm not sure how that all works, but a couple of people said to me that if we do this, you know, I would do it in July, which would be past this date, because it works better for them at capers. They would lose or gain $200 either way or something like that.
Yeah.
So I would just say that to make it work, because there has to be an end date to it. You just can't say, well, I'm going to take early retirement and make that 3 years from now. I don't want to see that. But just have it during 2016, you would have to retire. So it works better for the retirement program. So I don't want to have somebody miss out on something.
They could retire
Anytime.
anytime in 2016.
Right.
Is that correct? I mean,
Right. It'll depend on
February
what
or
quarter-
November. I mean,
Right. It'll depend on what quarter they were hired, and then it correlates then with what you get out of capers at that point. And what they would do is contact a capers advisor. They would say, okay, this is the best time for you in 2016. if you're thinking.
Do they still have to announce their retirement?
Yes, by the end of this year, I would get it by the end of that was the key thing for that. So then we would know, so you could prepare in 2016 as far as hiring a replacement going forward.
Do you have a problem one way or the other with any of these, which would work best? I mean, are we leaving ourselves open to losing a bunch of personnel or?
Yeah, I think last time we had 4. I would expect probably the same, maybe less this time.
So it really wouldn't hurt if we made this a policy. I mean,
No, what happens in 3 or 4 years, I'll have employees come to me and say, hey, you know, are you gonna bring that up again? And I'll say, well, do you think we should? And they say, yeah, I'm thinking about it. So, yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. I usually don't think of it until somebody else brings it up.
What if your insurance costs would go way up the next year and then?
A little bit of a risk on that side, yeah.
That's
not
why
the only thing
we
for
want the
us.
policy.
Yeah, that'd be about the only thing. And I think that's why we decided to have it as a 1 year. Yeah, you can't control that.
Yeah, through all of this, there's nothing that tells us any kind of an idea how much it's gonna cost us.
Don't know, because you don't know how many people would be taking advantage of it. Is it be
Well,
two?
say, just give me an example for one that has
Okay.
40 years.
Or, yeah, yeah, I mean, you could do the math on that, as far as, you know, what would be the payout on that. But then the benefit on that is you know, you can replace them with a lower paid person, which is what we did.
But then you're paying two people. You're paying insurance
Well, you're paying the insurance, yes.
for two people for that long.
Correct, yeah.
You say 4 retire, we have to pay all 4 of them their insurance?
Well, two of them took I think last time 2 of them took the insurance for a couple of years. You have to get off at 65 anyway, so however long you're on it. And a couple of them took the cash payout, which is the other option there. And that's the way that went. So as far as, yeah, we could run different scenarios and say, oh, if we had this person do that, then they would get this.
And why 100% of the eligible sick leave instead of 50% of what they're offered anyway when they retire?
Right. Well, I think that's what we did last time. That's just the incentive to have them take it.
Are we that anxious to just push them out the door?
No. I just thought that would be, a way to, the only thing I changed
I
with
mean,
this one.
they could retire anyway,
Sure, yeah.
but
Yeah. The only thing I changed on this one really was the dates, as far as, it's really 4 years ago, it was the same.
So we're offering this so we can hire somebody back cheaper and save money on that side, but still have our insurance costs.
Health
That's
insurance,
basically-
plus that person's going to retire in 2016 at that point, so you just, some certainty that,
So it's a certain type of positions, if you have to hire them in at a higher pay, you're going backwards then, because there's no savings.
Yeah, and we didn't do that last time. That would be, I don't know what scenario that would be, but I suppose that could happen, but it would be.
But these people can, like you said, they could retire with their points, but they just wouldn't have the health insurance.
Right. And that's the big thing for most of them, because if, say you're 63, you don't qualify for Medicare yet, but you got your 85 points, and, you want to retire, but, the health insurance is the bridge to, that part of your life as you go forward, so.
Is this pretty common in a lot of
Yes,
municipalities?
yeah, a lot of them, certainly over the past 20 years. And the way I did this 4 years ago is I got policies from probably 20 different cities that had done this really for the past 10, 20 years or whatever. And some, I think, have it as a permanent policy, but most of them do it, 1 year at a time. That's the way they approach it, so. Anyway, so that's what I brought it back.
Is this something we need to vote on tonight?
Yeah, you could, it's an
I
option.
would make a motion for a 1 year initially, and then we could always change it if we decide.
Glenn,
Just a one-time thing here, is that what you're saying? Is
Yeah.
that correct? I mean,
Yeah.
That's-
retirement date must be no later than June
Uh,
1st,
one, this would
2016.
be in
Right.
effect for
So we
1
want to
year.
change that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about
Anyway,
earlier,
it's
it's just
that's
L
what
26.
we'll have to do.
That's your
So we just
motion,
need to
Bob?
have-
Yeah, just change that part.
I have a motion on the floor.
are we changing something that the rest of us don't know about there?
She was just talking about I had it, it's June 2016 that's on the actual policy, and like I was saying before, just take out the June and have it as 2016.
2016.
So the motion should probably reflect that.
You want to state that in your motion?
Yeah.
Okay, where's that at?
Very first page, those lines that you see, retirement date underneath that, it says,
I just put June 2016 or whatever in there.
so that probably needs to read
Just
December 31.
31st.
December 30th,
Yeah.
okay, I'll add that to my motion. Takes place by December 31st.
Right, so you just have to retire in 2016.
Yeah.
Whatever quarter you choose to do that. Yeah, I think we did that in the past, so that wasn't.
But
an
the
issue.
motion on the floor is that we approve the early retirement policy for 1 year, and with the retirement having to take place before December 31st, 2016. Is there a second?
second.
second by Councilman Gingler. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda this evening is the water pump bid for the intake pump and piping from Douglas Pump Service in the amount of $54,721. Any questions for staff on this?
They're coming in and setting it up for us, Jim. We don't have to do anything, is that correct?
Correct. This would be basically a turnkey. They'll come in, remove the old, smaller pump out of there, and replace it with a new, larger pump with VFD, all the piping, the metering, and everything.
Is that down there by the dam?
Yes, that's it. That's in the building right along the diversion dam is our intake pump house.
What's your question?
I do, do we have a delivery date on this?
Excuse me?
Would we have a delivery date on this? Do we know?
I specified in the bid that we would prefer a completion before the end of the year. One of the bids put a delivery of like 10 weeks, but the other bidders didn't submit a delivery date because they have some is in-house supply and some are readily available to them through other suppliers.
And was this was this budgeted for this year?
Yes, it was.
And, okay. And if we don't get it this year, does that mean that the funds are gonna be out of next year's budget?
The funds have not been put into next year's budget, but the part where we would run into problem is we could lose that water right if we don't get this pump in. This pump was to supplement that new water right.
I don't have a problem with getting the pump. I have an issue with when it gets paid for.
It will be paid for out of this year's budget, correct?
Yeah,
Even if it
incur
falls
this year,
after
it officially
the first
comes out of this
year.
year's anyway. As soon as you approve that, you incurred the expense, so that it comes out of this year's budget.
Any other questions on that?
Jim, is
Yeah.
the weather gonna affect,
No, they'll be working inside that pump house and that's heated.
and when you say delivery date, does that mean install or just on site?
By their delivery date would be when they actually have the equipment because the motor, they don't actually make the motor and stuff like that. So their delivery is whenever they get all the components, then they come and do the work on site.
But you don't necessarily have a deadline for them to complete the work.
Preferably before the end of the year. Where we had to rebid it, I didn't know whether it would give them enough time, I originally had a December 18th completion date, but where we had to rebid it and that put it back almost a month, I didn't know if they would have enough time within that frame, but I noted on the bid form as close to the end of the year as possible for their work. Once they have the parts, I don't look for them to be more than 1 to 2 weeks to install it.
Well, that would be my only thing is if, it's easy to make excuses or whatever, but if it's not feasible to put a date, but otherwise I think you need to try to have some kind of completion date.
Well, they got in here, if possible, we stress the pump must be fully operational by
Does it have-
December
okay.
31st of 2013.
That was in the bid.
Very good.
And the company that we are dealing with, we've dealt with many times, they're very good, reliable, and trustworthy.
Well, yeah,
I would move that we approve first, this pump from Douglas Pump.
been moved by Councilman Latrell that we approve the purchase of the intake water pump and piping from Douglas Pump Service in the amount of $54,721. And a second by Councilman Richard. Is there any question? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next item on our agenda this evening is a metal pole bid And staff's recommended we buy from Vector Supply an amount of $13,223.98. And it's within our policy of the 10%. So, any questions?
Glad to see it local.
These will be the poles used up on our properties up in the
Camp's
north
properties,
end. Just, Lloyd had a question.
I do, I was wondering what extra costs are gonna be besides this
On that,
for conduit,
there's gonna
wire?
be, there's gonna be concrete, there's gonna be rebar. I have kind of a breakdown here.
Is that what you gave me earlier today, Ron?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get that. But this is just later. This is for, yeah, for like each pole.
But we'll be running electricity no matter what kind of pole.
Yeah.
So, actually, this might be a little bit confusing. Nothing about this has been. Might be a little bit.
Thank you.
There you go. Okay. Oh, sorry. There you go. Okay, Ronnie, the metal pole that you're showing up there was the real, was that the real bid or was that the bid?
I'm not
The metal, the first line there says metal pole.
Yeah, the $1,200 pole, that was the bid number. 2 weeks ago, they came to you, I had a quote of one pole, metal pole, and it was like $1,500. I got both of them on there. I've had a few councilmen tell me that you go by the quote that we represented here. I'm game with either one, I just need a direction. When I go to charge that off, which way they want to go. Because actually poles costing us like $1,200. And then there's added to that, but when I priced a single pole here 2 weeks ago and brought to you guys, I quoted one. And normally when you quote one, they're a lot higher than if you order 10. And that's that $1,500, because I didn't know exactly how many was gonna be ordering at that time. But anyway, when I turned around and bid them, I bid for 11 and we got them cheaper. So that's why there's two numbers there.
This 250 takes off that 2,000.
Yeah, and you'll have to take 250 off that because that's the price of a wood pole.
Difference in poles.
So about $2,000 a pole.
Is the wire already underground to attach to these poles?
Well, the wire and the conduit, we would have invested anyway.
I know that, but
Some of the conduits and some of the wire, not all of it, majority of it is. We put it in when Larson came through there and put all that primary in. Any place that they was headed where we was gonna have a street light, we went ahead and put the conduit in at that time.
okay.
I was just gonna say, I move that we approve the metal pole bid.
It's been approved by council bodies that we approve the metal pole bid from Vector Supply in the amount of $13,223.98. I have a second by Councilman Peterson. Any further discussion? No further discussion. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Next item on our agenda this evening is the pickup truck bid. And staff has recommended we buy the 2015 pickup from, well, it says Ford Motor
Yeah, I'm sorry
Company.
about that. Yeah,
but then
that's.
anyway, Clint, go ahead.
Well, yeah, you got three bids here. One's the GMC Sierra, one's the Ford F-150, the other one's the Ram Quad Cam, and they're all very close. What made it real close was that trade-in value there, which is real. That's what we did check that out. The only other thing that goes along with this that we didn't know when I actually put out this sheet is that you go through the bid specs, the tires on the GMC are not the same as on the Ford, which would add about another $1,000 probably at least.
How much?
About at least another $1,000 to that vehicle if you were to change the tires to what we wanted.
You mean you don't get if you trade tires, you don't get a little bit off on the tires you take off?
You might, yeah, you might, I don't know.
Well, that's something you ought to check in.
Yeah, so that, the tires aren't exactly the same, so that puts them almost even.
Well, that makes this one just a little bit more expensive.
Just a little bit more if that were the case, but I don't know what we get if we swap tires on that or not, but it's almost a dead heat at that point. So,
So the choices between a Sierra,
yeah, if you would change the tires on to meet our.
Why do you have to change the tires?
Well, for durability. I mean, it's not.
What's this truck going to be used for?
It's basically in town.
For who? What department?
Oh, for park parks code enforcement.
So Chris, you're not hauling anything?
So we're not hauling anything.
Holding your
Just
dogs?
Just dogs.
Dogs, yeah.
What I included was a 10-ply tire on the truck, and Ford will see the 10 plies get on that. The GMC comes with 4 plies. And the reason I wanted a better tire is because I've changed tires on this truck, I think 3 or 4 times in 13 years. This 10-ply could last 10 years.
do you have a preference?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a preference in Ford or Chevy?
Not for, I do personally, but not for the county, not for the city.
You're really asking me, do you have a preference?
Yeah, no.
So what's the bottom line on both of these?
The tires are $225 a piece, the 10-ply. So Blunt Motors suggested we could buy those locally if we wanted to. They didn't include that in their bid. Floyd Auto Truck is providing those 10-ply.
Did they offer to give a discount on each tire for the tire?
No, wasn't even talked about.
Didn't even talk about it?
No.
Can they get 10 ply on their pickups?
I'm sorry?
Can they get 10 ply?
Yes.
I mean, to be fair on this thing, I think they need to get the spec in for 10 ply and give us that bid so we can compare apples to apples.
Yeah, but they could do that, then they're a lower price if they say.
Well, it was on the bid specs.
Right.
And the bid specs say that if you don't follow the, if you don't comply with the bid specs, then you might not qualify. So Floyd Auto Truck is going to put them on.
So that would meet specifications.
Well, if
Well, you know,
they were spec'd out that way, and then Floyd Auto and Truck would be the low bid because they met the specifications on the bid request.
on the other hand, we buy very few automobiles from Blunt Motors, and they do support the city quite a
That's the
bit.
other side of that too. So
I understand that, and I don't have a problem.
You might want to
And
spread
that might be a 10% right there.
But with the trade-in, is that $30,000 price, is that before the trade-in or after the trade-in?
Before.
That's before, right. At 8,500, yeah, then that brings it down to that 21.9. And you go for the 30, that's 21.9.
Yeah, we haven't bought anything from them for.
Yeah, not, I don't recall since I've been there actually. Because police cars typically have not bought pallets in a long time, so that's gone to Fords on those, or the Crown Vics, or the SUVs. So given that they're so close,
Technically, that's not a Chevrolet.
that's true, yeah.
And I'm not sure it says Chevrolet on their sign over there either.
Yeah, that's, yeah. It's a GMC. We'll put it that way. General Motors product. Exactly on that. So that's another way of things, given the fact that they're so close, we have not really grown the business in there.
I don't think.
Very competitive.
I do have one question, Chris. if you can answer it for me, this 2016 that they're bidding, is that something that they don't have yet?
That's correct. They don't have, it. They'd have to order it.
Right, it's not on the lot.
Who's that on?
The 2016, yeah, it's not here yet.
So I don't understand, I guess, why they couldn't have ordered it with 10-ply tires.
Well, I think they could,
It
I
takes-
just don't think they just didn't notice it on the spec. I didn't know.
Some of their lack of experience.
It's just an
doing
oversight.
bids with us.
I think from the other one, we bought 7
It's
vehicles.
probably just standard.
Another
Last
thing
few
is
years.
they specify the color is white, they may not have a white one down there.
I think it's
I make a motion we accept the whole thing.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Peterson that we accept the bid from Floyd Motor. Second by Councilman Audi. Any discussion? No further discussion, those in favor?